dear viewers and students. How are you? Welcome again. This is Eteta Morogoro. I'm BASUKU NYABENDA, and I'm going to share with you the topic reading literary work. It's a Form 4 topic, and we have been reading novels and plays, and of course in last session I introduced the novel The Interview, which is written by Patrick Ngugi. Yes, and in the previous topic, in the previous lesson, we tried to check some of the issues, especially the plot overview. We tried to check chapter, the summaries, the general summary, and the chapter summaries and the like. Now today, I'm going to try to check the title, the setting, and of course try to check characterization and the point of view of the writer himself. Yes. Now, yes, as I said, these are the things we are going to check. These are the things we are going to check in the title, The Interview. The Interview. Now, to begin with the title itself, the title of the book, The Interview, maybe you should try to think as to what the word interview means. What does it refer to when you say the interview? And by the way, what is the interview in the interview itself? What is the interview, or what are the interviews in the book, The Interview? What is it? Yes. Now, the formal, the definition or the meaning of the word interview, one, you can say it is the meeting. It's the meeting at which somebody is asked the questions to see if at all he or she is suitable for a certain job. You see, after finishing your studies, you apply for a certain job. And when you're applying for a certain job, okay, you will be called for an interview. When you go for an interview, you are going to be questioned. You are going to be questioned so that the boss or the person, the interviewer, needs to know if at all you fit in that position you applied for. You see, so that is what we call the interview. That's one side. But another thing is, sometimes you find that a person may be being interviewed by the reporters, maybe a newspaper reporter, maybe on TV, maybe on radio. If this person is going to be interviewed, that's what we call interview. Maybe the reporter will be asking him or her some questions and the like, and now that's what we call interview. Another thing is, you are having a private meeting with someone and then you ask him or her some questions. That's another case we call an interview. In short, you can be having varieties of definitions, but at least it will be within asking and answering questions. At least the questions and answers, that will be the main part of that definition when you talk of interview. Yes. Now, the interviews within the interview. Let's try to check the interviews within the interview. Or let's try to check the interviews which are found within the book, The Interview. Yeah. One, the first interview is the interview between Joy. The first interview is between the job interview at the city soap industry. The job interview at the city soap industry. That is the first interview. This is when Joseph Kimani, in short form they just call him Joy. Now, this Joseph Kimani was going to attend an interview at the city soap industry. Now that was the first interview we find. You remember, as he was going to for that interview, he missed the time. He was late simply because of the incident that you remember, the accident which happened at the bus stop, where he had to save a certain old lady to hospital, and so he was late for about 45 minutes, and that was the interview. Of course, at the office or at the city soap industry, there were many young men and ladies who were trying to secure a position at the city soap industry. So that is one aspect where we get the word interview into practice. And the second one is the interview between Joseph Kimani or Joe with the police officer. You remember, he had to give statement on how the accident happened, and so he was being interviewed by the Chief Inspector Margaret Kinyua. You see, so this was the second scenario where the interview took place between Joy or Joseph Kimani and Chief Inspector Margaret Kinyua. That was the second scenario of the interview. Another interview was at the hospital. You see, Joseph Kimani or Joy was asked by the doctor whether he knows or he is familiar with this lady, or at least they are related somehow. But the case was he didn't know, or he didn't know who that old lady was and the like, and that was the answer he gave to the doctor. And so that was the third scenario of the interview at the hospital. Joseph Kimani with the doctor being questioned, some questions on how far he knows the old lady who was involved in the accident. Yes, and then another interview is between Njog with Joseph Kimani. Njog with Joseph Kimani. Remember, this is when Joseph Kimani was at Njogu's mansion, at Njogu's home. And then he faced Njogu himself, and so Njogu asked him some questions and the like. And at the end of the discussion, at the end of the questioning, they came to realize that they were related. In other words, they came to realize that Joseph Kimani or Joy was the nephew to Njogu. That was the fourth scenario of the interview in that book, or in the title, The Interview. The last scenario was the life of Joseph Kimani himself. The life of Joseph Kimani himself was an interview. The life itself was an interview. You see, all the things he passed through, to the way he got the job, it was a complete interview. You can see the life profile of, you can see the profile from the accident to how he got the job. That was a total interview. So you can see those were the 5 scenarios which involved the interviews. And that's how the word interview becomes the title of the book. Yes, and so if you were asked to prove or to say as to why that is the title of the book, now at least you know you have the things, or you have the events, or you have the incidents, you have the scenarios, which gives you power to say the book deserves to be called The Interview. Yes, now let's go to characters and characterization. Characters and characterization. Yes, the author has tried to use few characters to reach the message to the society. At least from these characters we get the information. We learn a lot. We get a lot of messages from these few characters we use. And the main character in this story is Joseph Kimani, or in short form they call him Joy. Now, Joseph Kimani, who is Joseph Kimani, by the way? Joseph Kimani, who is the main character or the protagonist in the novel, is an educated young man, though he failed to get the certificates, but at least he completed the study. So he is an educated young man who is an orphan. Remember, in the story, when I was trying to give you the plot overview, I told you that the parents of Joseph Kimani were killed in the ethnic cleansing or the ethnic crashes, as you remember. I remember the father and mother were killed in front of their eyes, and so Joseph Kimani remains as an orphan, educated but an orphan. You see, and remember that Joseph Kimani is a very kind-hearted and sympathetic person. Very kind-hearted and sympathetic person. And this is proved on how he even misses the interview simply because he is helping a person he even know about. He even know about. He doesn't have any information about that person. He is very blind to that person, but at least he managed to help or to save the life of that old lady. And so that's why we say he is kind and sympathetic. And that is not only the case, but he is characterized by a quick decision making. Remember, he was at the bus stop. The accident happened before the old lady was seriously involved. It was seriously injured, seriously destroyed. He managed to dive and save the life of the old lady from being hit by more cars even. So you see, he's having quick decision making. Yes, not only that, but he is lucky. One of lucky guys. You see, the way he secured the job, it wasn't very easy. To other person, you could say this is just a godly plan, and that's why even I said even when I was talking or when I was trying to give you the plot overview, that was a godly plan. It is a lucky. The way he secured the job, it wasn't that normal way. It is just by luck itself. Yes. Also, he is poor. He is poor. He is educated but poor, and we can see the evidence to this because he even failed to pay the school fees. And you can see that even the way he's trying to find the job so that he gets money to get the certificates. You see, so he is poor. He's poor. The other person, the other character we are having in this book is our kuku. That is Leah Wacheke. Leah Wacheke. The old lady, the grandmother, that is Leah Wacheke. That's the name of the cook. And so this Leah Wacheke is an old woman who at times is mentally disturbed. As I think you still remember when Joy was trying to give was being interviewed, he even said that he was somehow not having sound mind, to mean that he was somehow mentally disturbed. Okay, another thing is sometimes when she was in the hospital, she suffered amnesia. This is loss of memory. She suffered loss of memory to some extent when she was in the hospital. That is Leah Wacheke. She is Joy's paternal grandmother. And you see, in the story, especially when Joy was taken to Joy's home after the interview, they came to realize that she is the grandmother, or the mother of Joy's father, paternal grandmother. You see, and lastly, she is very grateful. She is very grateful, and she knows how to say thank you. Always, and we always insist that when someone does something good to you, remember to say thank you. Be grateful, and that's very good. It can help you in the future. You see, so she has a Thanksgiving heart. She is grateful. You remember when she was very eager to see Joy. or to see Joseph Kimani, and to say thank you for saving her life. You see, she was very, very, very grateful, and that's very good to learn from her. Yes, another person we find in this title is Gladwell. Gladwell is another character we find in this title. Gladwell is, remember, the secretary at the City Soap Industry, the secretary at the City Soap Industry. But different from that, remember that she was having a sister who was very seriously sick. She was seriously sick, and that sister is Eugenia. She was suffering from TB, if you remember the story. But later, after her death, it was revealed that she died of HIV/AIDS. So when she was still sick, she was said to be suffering from TB. But when she died, it was revealed that she died of AIDS. That's how it was. You see, Gladwell is a singer. She's one of the members of a church choir. And remember, there is where she met Joseph Kimani, because they were singing together in church choir. You see, so Gladwell is also Joy's girlfriend. And you can see even the story, I hope you still remember in the story as you read that Joy and Gladwell could go walking a little bit after church, after singing at the choir. They could go out walking and the like, trying to exchange ideas, sharing information and the like. Of course, she was the girlfriend to Joy. Yes. And another thing that is good I like from Gladwell, she was an addict to reading novels. I like people who like reading. I like it. And I hope you are going to be one of those people who are interested in reading. I like that one. Because there are so many information you get through reading the books. You know, I don't understand nowadays. People are just fond of watching movies and the like. But that's not the only thing you should do. Take it as part-time, but you should use more of your time reading the novels. That's what you should do. You see, Gladwell is great. Very beautiful. Angelic face, you see, and attractive. And that's why maybe even Joy Kimani cannot go very far, could not play very far. It's because Gladwell is pretty, beautiful, attractive, angelic. And you see, this is Gladwell. And also, she's having this weakness, the other side, the aspect, that's it, being jealous and selfish. But how do we see this one? She's jealous and selfish because when Joy was trying to help, or was trying to use, or spend a lot of time helping cook, helping old lady who he is not even familiar with, Gladwell was not happy. Gladwell was not in support, was not in favor of that idea. In such, if it was her decision, it was just to say no to this practice of visiting the old lady this time and then. You see, and that's why we say Gladwell was jealous and selfish. And I hope you are not one of them. You are not one of those people who are selfish and jealous. When you find someone is suffering, be sympathetic and help if you are in a position. That's what I expect. That's godly, you see. And another thing from Gladwell is that she gets a job at the City Soap Industry. Remember, this is the same place where Joy Kimani was trying to secure a chance. And the first interview, Gladwell managed to get the job. And remember, the first time when they went for the interview where Gladwell secured the job, Joy was not present. And of course, Gladwell was happy that Joy was not around simply because she knew that Joy was very genius. And maybe she couldn't get that job if Joy was present. And so she was happy Joy was not around, and so she secured the job. The next person we find in this story is Daniel Kung. Daniel Kung is the next person we find in this story. Remember, Daniel Kung is the cousin to Johnson Job, the boss himself, you see. And he is the same person, the personal manager who told Joy that we don't tolerate lateness in the company. If we remember that story. When Joy, when they are very late, Daniel Kung is the same person who told Joy that we are not, we will not tolerate people who are not punctual. You see, and he's very, very strict about time. That's what I said. And he is inconsiderate. Why do we say Daniel Kung is inconsiderate? He is inconsiderate because when Joy arrived very late at the Cities of Industry and tried to give statement as to why he was late, this boss did not think of all those reasons. He just said, we don't tolerate lateness in your company. You see, that's being inconsiderate. At least he could give him a chance to listen. He could give him a chance. Maybe. You don't know what happens. Now you see what happened at the end? He becomes his relative. He becomes one of his employees. So sometimes you need to be considerate. When someone gives you some reasons, try to go deeper. Think. Maybe you can decide the other way around. You see, another person we find this story is Johnson Job. Johnson Job. This is the boss himself. This is the billionaire. The billionaire, the tycoon, the owner of those of the Cities of Industry. You see, he is educated and very kind man. Very, very kind man. Why do we say very, very kind man? You know, very kind man because after listening to Joy's story, not only does he give him a job, but also he adds more money and take him in as a relative. Very kind man. Also, he has a Thanksgiving heart. Yes, he's very grateful, just like the old cuckoo, his mother. You see, maybe he takes it from his mother. Because after hearing the story of Joe Kimani, he is very, very grateful. So he's having a Thanksgiving heart as well. You see, he's remorseful and apologetic. Of course, you know, if you remember, why do we say he's apologetic? If you remember, the first time when Joe called him and told him about locating his mother, the answers he gave were very hostile. Very, very hostile. They were not good answers. The language used was no good. And Joy was very disappointed. And if you remember, at last, after the last of the conversation, Joy even banged the phone down to show that he was angry, furious, and disappointed. But after hearing the story, Mr. Johnson Job became apologetic. And that's being a human. That being a human. If you cannot apologize when you do wrong, you are not a human. You are an animal. Because an animal is the only thing that cannot give thank you or I'm sorry. But Johnson Job was apologetic, and that's being a human being. Not only a human being, a godly human being. That is Job. Now, the next person we see is David. I hope you remember this person. David, that is Joy's brother, who works as a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper. That is Joy's brother. And so he's educated as well, educated and works as a bookkeeper at the National Library. And of course, he's the same person who finds a job for his young brother Joy. He's the same person who talks to his friend Julius to find a part-time job for his young brother Joy. Yes, so somehow he is kind, caring, and that's what is good. You have a position, try to find a job to your fellows, to your relatives, to other people that you love and the like, so that they are not suffering in the streets. That's being human as well. You see, he is selfish somehow. Selfish because he is not interested in the idea of Joy wasting time taking care of the old lady. That's being selfish somehow. He's not sympathetic in this way. In this aspect, he is not. So, to some extent, that is being selfish. You see, another person we see is Uncle Jotham. Uncle Jotham. This is the next person we see in this story. The next person we see in this story, that is Uncle Jotham. A very, very kind-hearted man. A very, very kind-hearted man. Remember what happened to Joe's parents? They died. And the children had a narrow escape. The parents died in front or before their eyes, and they had a narrow escape. They had to pass through a hard way to the city, and they were taken in by Uncle Jotham, the uncle, the brother of their mother. And of course, though it was a new family, because he was having very short time after being married, though he was not in a good position, he was not having this very, very big financial position. He was just a middleman, and so altogether he managed to take care of the children. Of course, he schooled them as well. He schooled them, and this is what should be happening in Africa. This should be happening. Though sometimes it goes the other way around. That the parents die, those people take care of the children, are not treating them in a good way. They are turning them into slaves, in farms, house chores, and the like. It was different with Uncle Jotham. He took them in, he took good care of them, he schooled them, and the like. That's very good. That's very good. That's being godly human being. That's being godly human being. I like Uncle Jotham. I like him very much. The other person is Dr. Ocheng. Yes. Dr. Ocheng works at the National Hospital. I like Dr. Ocheng as well, simply because he's kind-hearted man. Godly. The way he treats the old lady who got involved in the accident was godly. You cannot imagine. Because sometimes you go to hospital, people receive you as if you are not a normal human being. They don't take care of you. They just see it as if you are something, not a human. But Dr. Ocheng takes good care. Remember, Joe did not pay anything. Was just a person, a jobless person. And yet, Dr. Ocheng spent his time taking care of the old lady. That was very good. And we need such people in our hospitals, that you take care of a person regardless of his status. You don't just treat the have and then leaving behind the have not to die. No, that's not the case. You should change. I know you students are going to be some people in the society. In the future, we expect you to be in offices. We expect you to save us in your offices. What our high expectations that you become the Dr. Ochengs. You become Dr. Ochengs in your positions. You don't become selfish and then caring. That's what we don't expect. We expect you to be Dr. Ochengs. You don't know us, you treat us well. You know us, you treat us well. That's good. That's being a godly human being. Thank you. And the other person is Messi. Messi is the last character we see. We might have seen so many others, but at least I have touched those few to give you a good position to understand this story at least a little bit. Yes, we have in Messi, and this is the receptionist at the National Library. The receptionist at the National Library, and if you remember well, he's the same person who helped Joy, who allowed Joy to use the phone, to call Mr. Joe. That is Messi. That's good. We are done with characterization. Now we go to the setting a little bit. Setting a little bit before we finish this this thing here. Setting. Yes, with the setting. Now you can see that we said it the previous, when I was giving you the plot overview, I told that the book is set in Nairobi City. Now we want to go deeper a little bit in this setting. As we said, that is modern city, Nairobi, in Kenya. Now you have to find that it portrays the challenges in post-independence African countries in urban areas. You see, it shows a lot of challenges that we are facing right in town. We are having a lot of jobless people and a lot of accidents. We have so many things that are happening right in the town. You see, the setting is urban, and there must be some reasons as to why the author decided to set this book in the city. There must be some reasons. You see, whenever the author decides to write a book, he or she must think of the setting. If it talks about rural issues, then the setting must be in the rural areas. But because the author wanted to tell us about the city experience and the like, the book was set in there. There are some reasons, and I will give you a few of them. Yes, a few of those reasons. Firstly, the mode of transport. You can say that the mode of transport which is portrayed in that story is the public transport, which is matatu. Okay, in Tanzania we don't say matatu, we say daradara. But in Kenya they call it matatu. You see now? And this is a common town transport, and that's why I found that the author decided to use that one, so that you get these scenarios like here, what we saw as we were discussing about the accident. Another thing is the unemployment rate. Now this one is very common in town. We have so many jobless young guys, young boys, and young men and ladies in town who are not employed, and that is the experience of the town. You see, that's how it is. And another thing is the lifestyle. You see, we are having the library service. You know, in villages we don't have libraries. Actually, I mean, maybe at a school, but in normal life, in this different from schools, we don't find the libraries. Sometimes even in schools, we don't find these libraries, especially in rural areas. But in town, we are having libraries, and so because we are having that scenario of the library and the events which involve the library, and that's why the author decided to take it in town, so that we can get this event that touches the library. Then the lifestyle which is portrayed in the story, especially when we talk of njogos and the like, this symbolizes the city life. Now we couldn't get such if we had to set this book in the village. We couldn't get this one here, but you can see that what is portrayed in the story describes the city life. Then we have the industries. The industries are found in town. The industries are found in the city. And so the whole story was supposed to be in town simply because of such scenarios, such things which were supposed to be portrayed in the story. But there are other sub-settings. For example, we are having office setting. These are sub-settings. You see, we see that we are having office setting. We have these buildings that we are having this office setting in the city soap industry. We are having headquarters where the headquarters of the city soap industry is located. We find this office setting, because in town, in a village, we couldn't get this office setting in the rural areas. At least if you go to the rural areas, maybe the administration blocks and the like, but the office setting was very appropriate if you go to town. Also, we are having the hospital setting. You know, in the villages, for example, right in Tanzania, in the villages, we are having these dispensaries and the like. But a big hospital like that one, that was supposed to be found in town. And so those are some of the sub settings. We are having restaurant setting where Joy and Gladwell meet and have some drinks and the like. Those are found in town as well. Those are found in town. Now, to finish this one here, I have to finish with the style. The style which is used by the author. The author has employed some narrative technique and dialogue technique. Narrative, whereby the author tries to narrate the story. to give us the story, to narrate the story from the beginning. You find that he is telling us about the story about Joey and his family. You see, that's narration. But in some pages, he decided to give a dialogue technique. For example, when you go to page 73, you find this dialogue between Joey and Tony. This is one of the dialogues which you find in page 73. So the author decided to use both techniques, narration and dialogue. Then what is the point of view? The point of view in this story, you find that we finish with this one. This is the last part of my explanation today, and the point of view. And I hope you remember when the teacher was teaching you about the point of view, it is the position from which the events are observed, or it refers to who tells the story. It can be first person, second person, or third person. Now you find that in this story, the writer has used all the three persons. But at least the third person singular is the dominant one in this story. That the third person singular is the dominant narrator in this story. This is to say the author narrates the story. And of course, by saying this, this marks the end of my lesson today. May I welcome you once again when I come to deal with the same novel, because we're still dealing with this one. When I come next time, we are going to deal with thematic analysis of this novel. Thank you once again, and goodbye.